Air, the Veterans Hour. Veterans Air is your source for news, talk, and uncensored commentary here on the Lone Star Community Radio. I'm your host, Douglas B., and along with my co-host, Dangerous Dan the Muffin Man, you can listen to us both live the first Tuesday of every month on VeteransAir.us and now on Conroe's very own FM 106.1 and 104.5. This month we have a very special show for you because we have with us via phone Rocco Masantano. I hope I didn't destroy your name, Rocco. He's the executive director, and Rusty Russell, who's the operations and exhibit director of the USS Lexington. And as always, before we get into that, we have some housekeeping to do. So before we get started, let me remind you that you can contact Veterans Air through the website at www.VeteransAir.us, or leave us a message, or better yet, text us on the studio phone at our Google phone number 936-344-3083. Before I forget, I want to give a big shout out to some great people down in Corpus Christi over at the Gyros Express in downtown Corpus. I had lunch there the other day and it was fantastic. Now, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the street name of where they're at because I don't speak Spanish at all. But if you want some authentic Greek food, I want you to give them a call at 512-775-5684, and you tell them that Douglas B. and Veterans Air sent you, and they'll take good care of you. Okay, so, Rocco, Rusty, welcome to the show, and I know that you're both naval veterans, so before we start, I wanted to say thank you for your service to your country. So, tell us about the USS Lex. What do we need to know?
Well, first of all, you got two Navy veterans here talking to you. This is Rocco talking now. I'm a retired Navy captain. I was an aircraft carrier pilot for 28 years. Got my first landings on USS Lexington in 1973. Came down to Corpus Christi to be the base commander, and when I retired from the Navy as base commander, the job of the executive director of USS Lexington, located right here in Corpus Christi Bay, opened up, and I was fortunate enough to get it.
Okay, and my name is Charles Russell. I'm the Operations and Exhibits Director. I've been here for 25 years. I came here from the USS Intrepid, where I served for 3 years as the Assistant Operations Director. I was a master builder in the Seabees when I got out of the Navy. I'm on disability now. And when I got off the USS Coral Sea after 3 years, I said I would never get back on an aircraft carrier. I joined the Seabees, and they sent me to the USS Intrepid, who offered me a job, and that's been almost 30 years ago. So life has played a trick on me, but a good one.
Now, guys, I got to let you know that I've been down to the Lex numerous times. Whenever Darlene lets me actually have a day off while I'm down there, I come by the Lex, and I do have some awesome pictures of the Lex. Well, let me rephrase that. I used to have awesome pictures of the Lex. And Rusty, I don't know if you remember this, but a couple of years back, you actually took me up to the deck and arranged so I can shoot some of the aircraft. But since then, I have lost a hard drive, and I lost all my pictures of the Lex. So expect me to come back down there again and be banging on your door going, do we have the escalator working today?
We have an elevator now.
We built a passenger elevator to get folks with disabilities or elderly or anybody who needs it up to the flight deck. So that's a big addition to USS Lexington.
That's an awesome addition because it is a really far ramp from the street up to the Lex. But I do note that you guys do have shuttles that go back and forth. Do you not?
We do.
Yeah, but the elevator we're talking about is what takes you from the main deck to the flight deck. So if you are handicapped in any way or can't make the ladders, then we now have a special needs elevator that will take you to the flight deck so you can see the aircraft.
That's fantastic. You guys didn't have that when I was down a couple of years ago.
No, we didn't. It's a relatively new addition. It's a great addition.
It is. Tell me about the Lex. Why should we come and see the Lex?
Well, first of all, it's a National Historic Landmark. Not that may bring people to it, but you should know that this ship is entrenched in the history of this country. Built in 1943, commissioned, served in the Pacific for the entire war, from 1943 till the war ended, participated in most of the major battles from 1943 on, was the first aircraft carrier into Tokyo Bay when the war ended, and so a lot of history. You'll be able to see what we call the scoreboard, which shows all the aircraft that were knocked out of the sky by the air wings air groups that came on board, or the ship's guns shot down several. You can see that it's responsible. Lexington Air Group is responsible for over 1 million tons of enemy shipping. We have all those displays, but after the war, it got decommissioned, came back in the 50s for a brief period of time, and then became a training carrier from 1962 on. All folks like me who got qualified in jet aircraft did their landings on board USS Lexington. Plus, we have enormous amount of exhibits. We have a 3D, we call Mega Theater, Joe Jessel Mega Theater, that is now showing a film called Aircraft Carrier Guardians of the Sea in 3D, which is really exciting. We've got moving mannequin displays. We have holograms that you can see, in addition to aircraft representing all the eras of naval aviation from a little bit pre-World War II up to current. So there's a lot to see, a lot to do. 5 different tour routes. They'll start and stop on our hangar bay. They're all self-guided, and we have great directions for getting around. We've instituted, we're not quite through with it, but we instituted what we call a smartphone tour. So if you have a smartphone that can download a QR reader, you can go up to exhibits and you can see the QR code. You can flash on that code, and it'll tell you a little bit more about the exhibit in English and Spanish.
Speaking of that,
we're moving along, and now we're working on a display for the Avenger aircraft that it's in the hangar bay. Right now it's a static display. We put, I think, 8 projectors around it and a screen, so we're attempting to make it look like it's flying.
Yes, laser projector.
Laser projector.
Speaking of more information, I have to ask this question. I've heard that the USS Lexington has a reputation, has a nickname, the Blue Ghost. What does that mean?
That's true. Well,
why is it the Blue Ghost?
In World War II, Lexington was Lexington was known as an Essex-class aircraft carrier. The way the Navy sets the class of ships, the very first ship built of its style, of its type, becomes the class. So the very first ship, aircraft carrier built of this type, was the Essex. We became an Essex-class aircraft carrier. All the other Essex-class aircraft carriers that went to the Pacific during World War II received a camouflage-type paint job. Lexington was the only Essex class that went over to the war with what they call Measure 21. It was a deep navy blue color. So that's where it got the blue from. And Tokyo Rose reported Lexington sunk on 4 or 5 different occasions. And allegedly, she would say, because they would say, okay, Lexington participated in this battle, Lexington participated in that battle. And she would say, they must be talking about a blue ghost because Lexington was sunk.
So how did it get from the Pacific to being in Corpus Christi? I mean, Corpus Christi doesn't have a naval base, do you?
Yes, it does. In fact, during the war, Corpus Christi trained more aviators than Pensacola. President George Bush, the elder, got his wings in Corpus Christi. So we had a very huge naval base. In fact, that's the base I commanded, Naval Air Station Corpus Christi. So we have, and right now it does primary and multi-engine training, and right down the road in Kingsville is jet training. So you could get your primary out of the way here in Corpus Christi and go to Kingsville and get your jet training. But as far as the Lexington goes, back when Lexington was the training carrier, the direct reporting senior to the CO of Lexington was the Chief of Naval Air Training. His headquarters is and were in Corpus Christi. So when Lexington was getting decommissioned, the Admiral's headquarters are still here, and he kind of owned the ship. So it just made a natural fit that it would come to the home of the Chief of Naval Air Training.
I got to tell you, it is an awesome ship, and you can't miss it as you come across the bridge.
No, if people get lost, I tell them we're the first aircraft carrier on the right as you cross the bridge.
Well, it is true. It is true. If you have not been to the Lex before, everybody that's listening to me, if you're going down to the Lex and you're crossing over the bridge, you see the Lex. You can't miss it. Just look to the left. It's this big, huge aircraft carrier. You can't miss it. But you're going to miss the exit to get off at the Lex. So my recommendation to you all is that before you head on down to Corpus Christi to see the Lex, stop by the Lexington's website or give the Lex a call and get directions to it, because if you're not familiar with the area, you're going to get lost. Do you guys happen to know the number over there to the Lex? Where can people call?
Sure do. It's 361-888-4873. Or if you call that number, you'll get a lot of information, and you can also talk to an operator if you want to, but a lot of the information is on recording. That's
fantastic. Hey, listen.
Yeah, our website will tell you there, www.usslexington.com.
So you got to it before I did. Great website, by the way. Great pictures.
Thanks.
I'm a photographer, so I notice all those things.
Yeah.
Now,
when you come down for your new pictures, the planes are all ready to go. We're having a big convention here next week, Historical Naval Ship Association, so we have really been putting the paint to the metal and making sure that all the planes are in really good shape for viewing.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed that I lost them all, because when you do things with a Corpus Christi theme, there's three things that are uniquely Corpus Christi. Skyline Drive, Skyline. Yeah, the big two huge towers. That's uniquely Corpus Christi. The bridge that lights up at night, and guys, you should hang out after you've gone to the Lex. Hang out in the evening, because the bridge actually changes colors. They spent millions of dollars to do this neon thing, and the bridge changes colors. That's uniquely Corpus Christi. And lastly, but definitely not least, is the Lex itself. So every time that I've done something in Corpus Christi, the banners, the booklets or whatnot, it's always featured those three things. So while the Lex is a historical landmark, national landmark, as you said, it's also a local, a regional landmark. Everybody knows the Lex. And I think it's important that not only we veterans, you and I and the rest and everybody listening to my voice, go down and immerse themselves in the history, but also to bring the younger generation that doesn't understand the history behind these monuments like the USS Lexington. And with saying that, can you guys speak to the type of the exhibits that you have there? Are these modern exhibits? Are they interesting, interactive? Do they give the history of the piece of equipment or the history of the plane that the person is viewing?
Kind of all of the above. We've got old airplanes with hopefully modern technology that will sort of bring them to life. We've got, like I said, we instituted the QR codes that will tell you about the airplanes, and you actually can get a video on the QR code also. So if you go up the QR code, you'll be able to see probably a video of the aircraft in flight and talk more about it. Next to the airplanes, we have signs, the old-fashioned signs that talk somewhat about the airplane and maybe some interesting story about the airplane. Whether, like the A6 we have up there, the A6 intruder aircraft, the story is about a distinguished flying cross mission that was given to both the pilot and bombardier navigator for taking out a aircraft or a ferry strip in Vietnam, getting over 17 SAM shot at them. So there's interesting stories, historical in nature, and certainly important to the defense of the country. But so we have, just I'll call it old exhibits where you can look at stuff, and we bring them to life with holograms. In the engine room, we have one of the things, and you may touch upon it later, but the stories about Lexington being haunted. And one particular story that seems to keep recurring is about Charlie the Ghost. People talk about the nice young blonde man that they've met in uniform that has talked to them, and we don't have anybody like that, but and said his name was Charlie. So we took advantage of that. Down in our engine room, we have a hologram down there, so when you go to the engine room, you can actually punch the button, and Charlie will appear and tell you the story. It's kind of a tragic story about when Lexington got hit by a torpedo back in the early stages when it got over to the Pacific and killed several men, some of which they didn't find until they dewatered when they got back to Pearl Harbor, and some they didn't find at all. So we combine sort of the space with some story about it that hopefully brings a little more meaning to the exhibit in terms of more interesting, but also in terms of getting people to appreciate why Lexington is here, why it became a National Historic Landmark, based upon the sacrifice of those who fought on her, and especially in light of today's world where it seems like some of that respect stuff is being forgotten. We try to reinforce it.
I wasn't going to bring up Charlie, but since you have, I might as well talk about it.
Sure.
So I was down at the mess, and I was talking to a nice woman by the name of Donna, and I told her that I was going to wander around the Lex and take some interesting pictures. And she specifically told me not to head down towards the engine room because of the ghost, and to be sure that I was off the ship before that it closed because of the ghost. And I said, "What ghost?" She says, "We have a ghost here, that the Lexington is haunted." I didn't believe her, and I actually did not see anything while I was there. But since you brought it up, you might get some paranormal investigators down there to see if they can't find Charlie.
We've had them.
Yeah, we've had them all.
We've had every group, I think, known to TV and man that's investigating.
Oh, that's fantastic. I would love to go on one of those ghost hunts. My wife is really big into that paranormal stuff. Speaking of getting off the ship before you close, rumor has it that there's certain times where certain groups can actually stay overnight on the Lex. Is that true?
That's true. We cater to what we call non-profit youth groups, mostly Boy Scouts, but ROTC groups, NJR ROTC groups, YMCA groups, etc. We're not in the business of competing with the hotels, and so if you have a youth group, a non-profit youth group, and you want to spend the night, you can contact us, same number, and try to book the night. In fact, we have a group this weekend. I think last year we did right near 16,000 or so folks that spent the night.
We're gonna take a short break here, guys, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna talk about more of this youth group spending overnight and what it is that they experience when we come back.
We'll be right back with more news, talk, and commentary from Veterans Air. The Veterans Hour on IRLoneStar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1.
The American Legion. We're a powerful force for the nation. We're the largest veteran service organization in the nation. We're committed to making sure all veterans receive the benefits they deserve for the sacrifices they've made in service to America. If you're a veteran in need of help or support, regardless of when you served, please contact us. We have a network of service officers trained specifically to help you get through the process of filing a claim for medical care or benefits. Go to legion.org to find out more about the American Legion's commitment of service to America.
Hey, it's Douglas B. from Veterans Air, reminding you this Veterans Day to be at the historic Flag Park in Conroe, Texas, as the American Legion Post 411 puts on its annual Veterans Day event. That is 11/11 at 11 a.m. People, be there. Hey, it's Douglas B. from Veterans Air here. I don't want to alarm you, but there's 81 days left until Christmas. If you're pulling your hair out to get your dysfunctional veteran, let me give you a hand. Head on over to www.bitterglitter.us. These people have a wide selection of motivational posters designed for dysfunctional veterans. He or she is going to love what you get them. Merry Christmas.
Welcome back to Veterans Air, the Veterans Hour. We're talking with Rusty and Rocco from the USS Lexington. Rusty, Rocco, welcome back. We were talking before the break, we were talking about the Boy Scouts and youth nonprofits, and I specifically wanted to touch on that because, as you know, I am an officer with the American Legion up here in Conroe. Right. I'm also involved with the VFW. I'm a lifetime member. And both organizations, as I'm sure you're aware, are big supporters of scouting and big supporters of youth groups, because that's one of our missions, one of our pillars is Americanism and youth. So tell my listeners that may have sons and daughters in scouting and in youth groups, and especially speak to what it is that they learn when they come down to the Lex.
Well, I'm glad you brought up sons and daughters, because women and girls are certainly welcome also. We have birthing areas for them as well. Last year we did nearly over 16,000 of them came down and spent the night. And so when they come on board, we give them a good-natured indoctrination into the military, into the Navy. They line them up and march them up the pier. We have called good-natured penalties for infractions, like hands in the pockets, shirt tucked out, running is not allowed, and we might do a push-up or two if they violate the rules. But then we bring them on board, take them down to the berthing areas where they get to sleep in the same bunks the sailors slept in when the ship was active. We'll bring them up, give them a safety indoctrination. Then they have some free time. We book them for one of our 3D movies. They'll get to go see. They can tour the ship a little bit. They get dinner, and then they come up for a patriotic ceremony where we march in the flags of the various armed services. We show them the history of the American flag, and then we'll show them a video or two, maybe the Proud to be an American video. And if there's a veteran in the audience, they'll fold a flag and present it to the veteran in the audience. And then after that, their ship is open to them. The public is off the ship by then. They're free to wander around the tour routes. And then about 10 o'clock at night, we bring them back for ghost stories for those who are brave enough to listen to them. So it's a great program, very popular, always a popular feeling. And then the next day, we get them up, reveille, and get them a breakfast and send them on their way. After maybe those who violated the infractions the most will get on stage and dance to the chicken dance.
Do you make them walk the flight line and start picking up butts and little stones off the flight line?
Haven't done it yet, but that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was over in Desert Shield, Desert Storm, I was actually attached to a U.S. Air Force aviation wing as their NBC NCO, even though I'm Army. And that was the first thing that they did in the morning after their formations and whatnot is everybody got on the flight line and walked the flight line, and we were picking up FOD, F-O-D, which
foreign object debris.
Foreign object debris, get it off of his flight line. And whatever
yeah, because otherwise it results in foreign object damage. They do the same thing on Navy aircraft carriers before every launch. Sometimes airplanes lose bolts, nuts, etc. Last thing you want to do is suck one down your intake.
That would be a bad thing.
Yes, it would.
I'm actually very pleased that you guys are taking in these youth groups and are giving them a quasi indoctrination, a taste of what it means to be military, and giving them a taste of the history. Last month, as everybody knows, was the 15th anniversary of 9/11, and I participated along with the American Legion and the VFW. Up here, we had a huge crowd. You guys should come up next year. I should have invited you. Fantastic crowd for the event, for the memorial event. And for me, I have to take a look at it, and I see a generation of military veterans that are proud of America, proud of what it stands for, proud of our flag and our national anthem. And then I see another generation that doesn't have that same pride. Now, we all joined the military. You guys joined the Navy instead of the Army. I don't know why you would do that, but, you joined the Navy. It's okay.
Good IQ.
We didn't have to sleep in the rain.
Yeah.
We like the mud. Grunt, it's an acronym. We joined because we believed in something. We believed in service and dedication and duty. And we might not have always agreed with our government, but we took an oath to defend and protect the Constitution, which is our guiding principles for this country. You can disagree with your government. The Constitution allows you to overthrow the government if it becomes tyrannical. So you can disagree and you cannot like your government, but to disrespect and dishonor the flag, the anthem, the pledge, and what this country stands for is a hard thing for a veteran to swallow. It's a hard thing for anybody of my generation or past generations to swallow. And I think that a lot of this, what we're seeing today, the blatant disrespect and disregard for our nation, is because of us. I have to say that. It's because of us. It's because of our generation. We have not taught the younger generations the values that were taught to us. And I think it's important that organizations like the American Legion, the VFW, and the USS Lexington keeps honoring those memories and honoring those traditions and passing them on to the younger generation. So I, for one, I want to thank, first of all, I want to thank you, Rocco, and you, Rusty, for your service to the country.
Thank you as well.
That's a very wonderful thing. But I want to thank you for continuing that even after you took the uniform off. You continued to serve. And you continue to serve today by being in the positions with the USS Lexington that you're in, that you're making history come alive to younger generations. You're preserving those histories and those traditions for future generations. And that is an awesome responsibility. I want to take my hat off to you guys and say thank you so much. Guys, we're going to run out of time here, so I'm going to cut this short. But before I go, I want to ask you a favor. If you could, drop an email over to info@VeteransAir.us. And if you have any materials, any marketing materials or links from your website or whatnot, could you send them on over to us so we can get you on our website and our page and get your information out?
Great. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks again for being on the show, and I'm heading on down your way in a couple of weeks, so I'm going to stop by. We'll do lunch in the mess hall.
All right.
Come on out.
All right, we're ready.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon.
All right, take care.
You've been listening to Veterans Air, the Veterans Hour, here on IR Lone Star Community Radio.
We'll be right back with more news, talk, and commentary from Veterans Air. The Veterans Hour on IRLoneStar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1.
The American Legion. We're a powerful force for the nation. We're the largest veteran service organization in the nation. We're committed to making sure all veterans receive the benefits they deserve for the sacrifices they've made in service to America. If you're a veteran in need of help or support, regardless of when you served, please contact us. We have a network of service officers trained specifically to help you get through the process of filing a claim for medical care or benefits. Go to legion.org to find out more about the American Legion's commitment of service to America.
Hey, it's Douglas B. from Veterans Air, reminding you this Veterans Day to be at the historic Flag Park in Conroe, Texas, as the American Legion Post 411 puts on its annual Veterans Day event. That is 11/11 at 11 a.m. People, be there.
An exciting fishing adventure awaits you aboard the Wicked Winch. Join Corpus Christi's premier fishing guide, 40-year master captain Alan Ryder, to reel in the big ones. Redfish, trouts, drum, flounder, sheep's head, and wade fishing. Full or half-day trips are available. Includes rods, reels, tackle, baits, and refreshments. Seasoned pro or first-time novice. Catch your limits with Padre Pirate Guide Service or go to PadrePirateFishing.com.
You're back with Douglas B. on Veterans Air, the Veterans Hour, reminding you that Claymore mines are stamped with front towards enemy for a reason.
Welcome back to Veterans Air. You caught me off guard. I was expecting weather and traffic. Dick, no weather, no traffic today? That works for me. Hey, listen, I forgot. I should tell you all that Veterans Air is in 2 locations today. I am in beautiful downtown Corpus Christi, America, and Dangerous Dan, the Muffin Man, is there in the studio. Dan, you with us?
I'm here.
All right, people, I want you to listen up. This is Dangerous Dan's debut on uncensored commentary. He did a really nice write-up, ran it by me, and I said, let's run with it. So, Dan?
Yes.
Tell us, what's on your mind?
Well, I've been thinking long and hard about this subject, Doug, and you kind of told me I was left to my own devices here, and I thought of what better way to come out with today's show than about women in combat arms. Now, I've got mixed feelings about this, and well, I served in the infantry, and this was I think right before they came up with women serving in combat arms, and I got out and they were allowed in. So I do have mixed feelings about this. Man. So, I'm the biggest advocate for freedom, and if women want to serve in the 1% of the 1%, they should be free to do so. But at the same time, when I was in, women did have different standards than men. They really did. So, I feel if they're able to serve in the infantry and any other combat arms, they really need to be held to the same standard as men. And I think we should really stop lying to ourselves about the differences between men and women. Biologically, we are different, both physically and mentally. Men, we have more physical strength and more endurance, and we're more mentally capable to deal with the stress of war than women. I'm sure there are special women that can do everything men can do, but, and I hope I'm using this correctly, exception to the rules does not disprove the rules. And overall, I feel that if women want to serve, they should be able to. Now, this brings me up to my second point, which is the draft. I feel that the draft isn't needed, and I feel the great thing about having a completely voluntary military is that we get the cream of the crop, those who wish to serve and do so without having a gun put in their face or being forced in a cage, locked up like an animal. I feel that the draft goes against everything our country at least says it stands for, freedom. And I feel if our nation implements a draft, it is wholeheartedly against the will of the populace. And that would put the war or conflict on immoral grounds or just straight up illegal. So, I don't know. I'll always stand up for freedom, and I think overall we're moving in the right direction. What do you think, Doug?
Well, I have similar views of women in combat and the draft, and I know a number of women that have served in combat. We had one on the show back in July, Tanya, 22-year combat veteran for the Air Force. But let's take a look at what some other people have said, because your commentary was picked up earlier by Kimberly, a.k.a. Little Girl, a.k.a. Ron Paul's love child.
Right.
And she put it on her Facebook, and there was a bunch of comments. And she shared this with me, so I got to read some of these comments. Let's take a let me tell everybody else what the comments say.
I only want the best, Doug.
Have you read these comments?
I sure my wife read them to me. I'm more than positive I wasn't fully listening.
And this is why Dan sleeps on the couch, people.
It's a nice fold out.
So listen up. Anthony says, in my heart, I do not want women in the military. Men are supposed to protect women and kids. If they are to be in the military, I want strict testing, just like men, for the safety of everyone. Nikki says, women shouldn't be in combat, and yes, I was military. Allison says, I absolutely support women in military. There is absolutely no reason a woman could not do any of the same work a man can. This is the 21st century. Work capabilities are not determined by gender. Excuse me. As for combat, I believe women can be in combat positions as well. But as previously mentioned by others, the standards for such positions should be both equal for men and women. Generally, I do not support the draft. Now, Jamie says this: women are not created equal. We don't have the same capabilities as men, which is why the PT standards are different. I do not believe women should be involved in combat, and if there were a draft, definitely no. Men naturally feel the need to be protective, so that in times of combat where they would need to be focused, I think they would be distracting, meaning women would be distracting. There are other areas that women are needed in the military. Just a few comments.
Right.
Now, let me give you my point of view. When I was in, the first time, my first few years, was non-combat arms. I sat in an office. I was a draftsman.
Lucky.
And yeah, it was nice too. Let me tell you. And there were women, of course.
Right.
All over the place. One of my best friends, Wendy Sue. Wendy Sue, if you're listening, and hey, world, I want to tell you about Wendy Sue. Wendy Sue is a Williamsburg, Virginia groupie. I love you, Wendy. Wendy, my best friend, female, of course. Then, after I left there and I got to Korea, and when I got to Korea, my first stationing was there on the DMZ. We didn't have women. There were no women in the units. And I stayed in the infantry for my remaining years in the military.
Now, were you attached?
There were no women in the combat arms.
Okay.
That's just the way it was. There were no women in the combat arms. But I personally know women that, if they so chose, could be combat arms.
Oh, I do too. I served with they at the time they weren't infantry, but they were attached to us with like the PSYOPs team or the humid team, which was gathering intelligence and making connections with the local people. They served alongside with us, and I'd say overall it was mixed results, but I'd say they did okay job. They weren't horrible.
Now here's the issue at heart. Here's the issue with women in combat arms. Forget about women in military. If you have a desire to serve, you should serve. I don't care if you're a man or a woman.
Absolutely.
But women in combat arms, I think some of these comments here, I think they express the idea of gender, and they express it semi-correctly. Men and women are wired differently. And I'm not talking about mental toughness. We have men that have PTSD. We have women that have PTSD.
Absolutely.
We have men that cry at the sight of gore. We have women that cry at the sight of gore.
Doug, stop calling me out.
What I'm talking about is our physiological hardwiring, and my daughter's going to tell me I'm wrong on this, just so everybody knows. Men do, as a general rule, men do look at a woman and say, I want to protect that woman. Whether it be conscious or subconscious hardwiring, they do. It does become a distraction because I feel I need to protect that woman. The reverse side of that coin, let's go back a couple of years and remember Demi Moore in G.I. Jane. Great movie.
I only saw parts of it on TV.
Excellent haircut, by the way. Excellent haircut. G.I. Jane. I know women that are G.I. Jane. Red Cloud, if you're out there, I would follow you into combat. Not so much for the physical capabilities of the woman, because any female can come up and meet the PT standards of a male. It's that simple. Any woman can. It all depends on how hard you want to work to do it.
Okay.
But the psychology, the psychology, whatever it is, my daughter will tell me what the word is, for the male, the protectiveness can also be in women. Let's not forget, women bear children. And if you ever get between a mother and her child, that's a bad place to be. But some women are able to take that mothering instinct and transfer it to their platoon, their squad, their fire team. And that's what men do. Men say, this is my battle buddy. Well, men, I hate to tell you this, but you're acting like a woman and her child. Your battle buddy, you're protecting. So I think that, yes, there are some women that can be in combat arms, but we need to develop some sort of testing to ensure that they can handle it. And if we're going to do that type of testing for females, well, we should do it for men too.
I agree. I feel that if we were to do this, we'd have to actually let them be in combat arms and stay in there, but gather actual honest facts and data and move from there.
Trial by fire.
Absolutely. They had the freedom to join, and I'm sorry, like, this is going to hurt people's feelings, but when you join, you're property. Like, you sign over yourself to the government. your property. They can do with you whatever they want.
You boys have 4 minutes.
All right.
Okay. We're going to run tight today, so we have a couple minutes here. So I want to bring up the draft.
Absolutely.
A lot of people say we should not have a draft. And a lot of people say that we should not have a draft for a whole bunch of reasons. But let me tell you this. There are a lot of countries out there that do have a draft. And because you're drafted doesn't mean that you serve in the combat arms. I firmly believe that there should be a mandatory draft for men as well as women, that you should serve your country. You don't get to stand there on the football field and take a knee for the United States anthem and not have served. Until you serve, I don't think that you should have citizenship. How's that for? Yes, we should have a draft. You want to be a peace person? One of the comments here was, I'm a pacifist. You want to be a pacifist? That's absolutely fine. There's 1,000 jobs you can do and still be a fat pacifist and never pick up a weapon. But you need to serve your country if you want the benefits of that country.
But Doug, what about the argument of freedom? That if a government forces you to do something, you're no longer free. And that government using the draft to protect freedom is kind of hypocritical.
I'm not saying that they have to serve in the military.
Right.
I'm saying they have to serve.
So you're talking about as nurses or paper pushers or anything like that? And like a civilian corps?
Anything.
European
Union, the countries in the European Union,
uh-huh.
You have to serve. 2 years you have to serve. Whether that be military or some other position that serves society, that's what you have to do.
So let's talk about Israel then, because I know they have mandatory service for everybody.
That's right.
And they have a very strong national sense of pride. And they, I feel, more than other countries, fully understand the cost of war because every single person, for a while now, has served. And I think combat arms for them has been open to male and female for a while too. But don't quote me on that. I'm kind of a dummy sometimes. But do you feel like that level of everybody has to serve, even if you want to come over here from another country, you have to serve in the military? Do you think that's really the best at advocating for freedom?
Vinny Sam, if you're out there and you're listening to me, my hat is off to you, son. There's a Vietnamese man. He came over here, looked at America and said, America's going to be my country, and I'm going to serve America. Join the military to serve. He was a supply clerk. Joined the military to serve. Wanted to be an American so bad, he changed his name. I gave him a 3-day pass so he can go down and change his name. He changed his name to a good American name, Sergeant B. And he came back and said, I changed my name to Vinny Pham. Hey, look, we're running out of time for this segment, so I'm going to have to break it off here, and we're going to go to station break. But before we go to station break, this is our opinion, people.
Absolutely.
Let me hear yours. Send us an email over at info@VeteransAir.us or text us at 936-344-3083. Definitely we want to hear your opinions on women in combat and the draft.
Send us your hate mail. It lets us feel good.
Ah, that's right. I love it. Hurt me. So we're going to take a break here, and we're going to do something when we come back. We're going to do some events, and because we only have 15 minutes. Nick, you there?
Yeah, we're going to a break.
Okay.
Hey, it's Douglas B. from Veterans Air here. I don't want to alarm you, but there's 81 days left until Christmas. What to get your dysfunctional veteran? Let me give you a hand. Head on over to www.bitterglitter.us. These people have a wide selection of motivational posters designed for dysfunctional veterans. He or she is going to love what you get them. Merry Christmas.
An exciting fishing adventure awaits you aboard the Wicked Winch. Join Corpus Christi's premier fishing guide, 40-year master captain Alan Ryder, to reel in the big ones. Redfish, trouts, drum, flounder, sheep's head, and wade fishing. Full or half-day trips are available. Includes rods, reels, tackle, baits, and refreshments. Seasoned pro or first-time novice. Catch your limits with Padre Pirate Guide Service or go to PadrePirateFishing.com.
You are listening to Veterans Air on IRLoneStar.com and Conroe's FM 104.5 and 106.1.
Welcome back to Veterans Air with your hosts Douglas B. and Dangerous Dan, the
right.
Muffin Man. Hey, Dan, since I'm not there, did you bring muffins?
I did not. I'm trying to go on a diet. It's not working too well.
Dick, I'm sorry. We are currently on breach of contract. We did not bring muffins.
I didn't know that was in the contract. I feel bad now.
You know, I go away for one day and the whole place falls apart. Hey, Conroe, Houston, surrounding area, listen up. We got a bunch of things happening in October. Whole bunch of things. First thing that we have happening here is Race for the Wounded. Race for the Wounded is partners with Colin Edwards, the Texas Tornado. Let's expand this, see what it says. The Texas Tornado Boot Camp. A couple of times a year, they are currently looking for Purple Heart recipients who are interested in attending. This is going to be October 27th through the 31st. The veteran does not need to be local. He just has to provide his own transportation to Montgomery, Texas. Otherwise, all expenses are paid. You stay at the compound. All meals, clothing, and equipment are provided. All you need is underwear and a toothbrush. So learn from the professionals how to race motorcycles on a dirt track. If you're interested in attending this event, the Race for the Wounded, contact Brett Robertson. He's a retired first sergeant from the 82nd Airborne. Hoorah! And Brett can be contacted at 205-876-3151 or contact him at brett@raceforthewounded.com. That sounds kind of cool. If I was there, I'd go do that.
Absolutely. I wouldn't bring on.
This is something just for you, Dan. I found this. This comes from our friends over at the Military Veterans Peer Network. This is Group Services at the Refuge.
What is
anger
that?
management.
Anger.
Learn
I'm not
to identify
angry, Doug.
triggers and learn techniques to control your anger. And certificates are available after 8 consecutive hours of completion. It's Mondays at 5 p.m., $5 per session, and it's open to groups. Parenting. Learn how to relate, discipline, and love your child. Certificates are available after 8 consecutive hours of completion. Monday, 6 p.m., $5 per session. I could do that. Not unroped, duct taped our closets. Proper parenting.
I've just got to like my kids. Now I have to love them.
You are in so much trouble. She listens to the show. You are in so much trouble. Wait, there's still more. There's a PTSD group. Learn how to identify symptoms of trauma and healthy coping skills. That's Monday at 6 p.m. There's an EMDR addiction group, not your normal informational group. This group will help you target triggers and reduce urges to use. It's Tuesdays at 6 p.m., $15 per session. Contact the Refuge at refugetraumacenter.com or give them a call at 936-648-5379 for more information. They still have space available over at the Veterans Combat Related Special Compensation Clinic. That is a free legal consultation. You can contact these people. They're available Wednesday, October 5th at 1 p.m. And this is in Dallas, people, at 2021 McKinney Avenue in Dallas, Texas. Why don't you give them a call or check out their website, which is, what is their website? Don't tell me what their website is. Look at that.
Are you asking me?
It's okay.
Oh, okay.
See, they have a number. They don't have a number here. They sent me this and they don't have a number. I'll try to get that to you for Wednesday, October 5th, tomorrow. I don't think that's going to happen. What else do we have here? We have the Veteran Needs Assessments. Veteran Service Providers. We are working with the United Way of Greater Houston and Harris County Veteran Service Officer and other service organizations as one part of the needs assessment for veterans in Harris and surrounding counties. If you live and work in the Harris and surrounding counties, that's Galveston, Montgomery, Liberty, or Chambers, and you're willing to help out some veterans in this area, you can do so by taking a survey and forwarding the survey to any veteran, family members of a veteran service organization in the areas that you know. Your responses are going to be help shape policy and determine the applications for resources for future veteran services. You can contact Ashley Taylor over at the Military Veterans Peer Network in Conroe, and her number is 936-526132, or give her a shout at the email at milvetper.net. Let me spell that because nobody's going to get that. www.milvetper.net. And that's what's happening in October. We're coming close to the end of our show. So what do we need to do here? Let me look at my notes. Oh, hey, Dan.
Yes.
Why don't you tell us about our sponsors?
You know what?
We have some great sponsors on this show.
I'm glad you reminded me because I would have forgotten. Veterans Air is made possible by the support of East Meets West Productions, full-service business and marketing consultants, helping vets start and fund their own business for 25 years. For more information, call 361-904-0044, and by the American Legion, Conroe Post 411. Post 411 meets the second Tuesday of each month at 7 p.m. in the Military Honors Room at Ryan's Restaurant on Loop 336. Visit AmericanLegionConroe.org for more information.
You have such a lovely, silky voice. You know that? You really do.
I practice every night.
Were you listening earlier about our new advertiser, bitterglitter.us?
I was, and I'm excited.
You need to go over and check out bitterglitter.us.
Do I?
I'm telling you, some of the stuff over there is great. They don't just have posters; they have coffee mugs and mouse pads and normal crap like that.
No.
But the dysfunctional veterans that are involved in this, that put together this stuff, yeah, they're in a class all their own. So go check it out.
Do they have the bacon jewelry yet?
No, they do not have bacon jewelry yet, but I want to let you know that they did, by the way, domain something. They donate barenakedbacon.com, or was it barenakedbacon.us? I think it was barenakedbacon.us. I'll be talking to them today or tomorrow, and I'll find out where they're on that. Speaking of talking to them, this about wraps up the end of our show. We're at what? A minute 53 seconds there. So let's wrap this up. That about wraps up our show. But I want you to remember to tune in next time, November 1st at 1 p.m. to Veterans Air, where in honor of Election Day, we're trying to put back together the Blue Ribbon panel of dysfunctional veterans. Remember them? We try to get them all together again, and we're going to compare and contrast our candidates for president.
Now, Doug,
if you want to be part of this,
right?
I need you to email me at info@VeteransAir.us and do that now. And I'm going to pick the people who get to talk about the candidates. And no, Dan, you're not going to talk about Gary Johnson.
Wow.
You don't get to talk about your candidate.
That's fine. I'll talk about the other one, Jill Stein.
You have to talk. I'm going to assign candidates to people.
No. Don't do
that.
Yes,
I am taking Hillary, by the way.
Oh.
I'm taking Hillary.
I wanted her.
I know. I might. You might get. Who's the lady that's doing the Green Party or the Socialist Party or what that party is that?
Jill Stein.
Jill Stein. You can do Jill Stein.
Okay.
All right. So really, we're gonna do something about political because it's November 1st, the next Tuesday. We're all going to the polls. If you have not registered to vote, listen to this. I'm not being goofing off here, but if you have not registered to vote, I want you to email Dan at VeteransAir.us. Dan will help you register to vote. Is that not true, Dan?
Not yet. No, it's not.
Oh, I guess it isn't true.
No.
But email him anyway. Make him do something.
Absolutely.
But get out there, register to vote, and vote your conscience.
The cutoff date
Don't
to
vote your
register
party,
is
vote your
October
conscience.
11th.
That about wraps up our show. I want to leave you with this, as we always do, with this awesome song by the Warrior Projects. The Warrior Project is going to stir your blood. You can go download it from VeteransAir.us, or it's on iTunes. And while we listen to this, I want us to remember our brothers and sisters in uniform that today are standing in harm's way. They stand for our freedoms and for our liberties. If you are wearing the uniform, I want to say to you, thank you. I want to say I'm proud of you. And until next month, stay vigilant and stay safe. You've been listening to Veterans Air.
With a need to bleed you when the light goes green. Best believe I'm in the zone to be. From a yin to my yang to Z. Put a grin on my chin when you come to me. Cause I'll win, I'm a one of a kind. And I'll bring death to the place you're about to be. Another river of blood running under my feet. Forged in a fire lit long ago. Stand next to me, you'll never stand alone. I'm last to leave, but the first to go. Lord, make me dead before you make me whole. I feed on the fear of the devil inside of the enemy faces in my sight. Aim with a hand, shoot with a mind, kill with a heart like Arctic ice. I am a soldier and I'm marching on. I am a soldier and I'm marching on. I am a warrior, this is my song. I am a warrior and this is my song. I bask in the glow of the rising war, lay waste to the ground of an enemy shore. Wade through the blood spilled on the floor, and if another one stands, I'll kill some more. Bullet in the breach and a fire in me, like a cigarette thrown to gasoline. If death don't bring you fear, I swear you'll fear these marching feet. Come to the nightmare, come to me, deep down in the dark where the devil be. In the mall where the jaws and the razor teeth, where the brimstone burns and the angel weeps. Call to the gods of across your path, and my silhouette hangs like a body bag. Hope is a moment now long past, the shadow of death is the one I cast. I am a soldier and I'm marching on. I am a warrior and this is my song. My eyes are steel and my gaze is long. I am a warrior and this is my song.
We're not just going to shoot the bastard. We're going to cut out their living guts and use them to grease the treads of our tanks. We're going to